OK, now on to our next topic. And we are asking, are fat jabs the lazy option when it comes to losing weight? Now, the so-called King Kong of fat jabs, Mounjaro, will soon be available on the NHS. It's already been rolled out to people with diabetes and will now be offered to some people with severe obesity too. Research has found that it helps people to lose a whopping 24% of their body weight. But is it better to lose weight the traditional way, perhaps? Are fat jabs just for lazy people? 0207 862 2222. We'd love to hear from you. Maybe you've been on one of these jabs because you couldn't lose weight in any other way. We'll speak to you in just a moment. I'm going to go to our panel first. Bobby, I find that hard to say the last sentence. Is it just for lazy people? Is that fair?
No, the way I think about it is technology advances society. So is it lazy to use a calculator of doing addition to your taxes? Is it lazy to use a car if you're going a long distance?
Use the washing machine?
There? Yeah, exactly. So technology allows us to make progress, and if it can help our lives, and of course, it shouldn't be the measure of first resort, but if people have tried alternate methods and it's still not worked, I definitely think something like Ozempic, Mounjaro, which sounds a bit like a mountain we discussed before. These options can give people that gateway to start their journey. So I think if it's a starting point, I'm all for it.
OK, gateway to losing weight there, Lynn.
I don't know. I do agree with some of your points, but we have to look at, this is very new, and what I don't want to see is people taking this as the easy route out. There are side effects. If we look at some of the side effects, inflammation of the pancreas, nausea, vomiting, changes vision, low blood sugar levels, and some of these can be quite serious. And as I said, it's a new drug. They're new drugs. And if it's imperative, we can see that the NHS will only consider people with a BMI of 35 and above, and for certain ethnic minorities, 30 and above. However, I would encourage people to try and do this the natural way as much as possible. What I don't want to see is people just resort to that in the first instance.
Well, I suppose if you are getting these weight loss jabs through the NHS, you will have to fit very tight criteria in order to get that. The worry would be privately whether people who don't need to lose that much weight and just want a quick fix might be paying some money in order to get it. And maybe that's a little bit more of a concern. Ellen from West Yorkshire, what's your thoughts on the weight loss jab? Have you tried it yourself?
Yes, I currently am on the Ozempic pen. And I do have a lot of side. I've been on it just over a year now, but I do have lots of side effects. But also, I've been trying to lose weight the natural way. I've currently lost about 12 pounds using, Slimming Whales.
Okay.
So I do think if people can do it the natural way, then go for it. But I got given my pen because I've got type 2 diabetes.
Got you. So how much weight have you lost? So you lost 12 pounds using Slimming World. How much have you lost on the weight loss jab?
I probably would say just short of a stone.
All right, okay.
So it has helped.
I mean,
immensely.
There's not a huge difference there then, is there really, between the two?
I'm interested to know, you said that you have experienced side effects. Can you let us know what those side effects have been?
Yeah, I mean, my stomach feels like it's, bloating. I have nausea, low blood sugar, like the things that you've mentioned just briefly before. And yeah, my stomach's obviously where the injection goes in. That obviously is painful as well.
Yeah.
And I just feel fatigued after I've taken the injection. So it's not the best way. I mean, ideally, I would go for the natural way of
Why do you think
to be
you
healthy.
struggle to lose weight the natural way then, Ellen?
I don't know. I mean, I think with certain people, obviously, they've got no drive to try and lose weight. So they just think, oh, well, we can get this pen and it'll help instantly.
Yeah.
But myself, I've cut alcohol out and I don't eat, fatty foods anymore. I stick to eating a lot of salad stuff and, fruit. And I try and go, for like exercise and walks and things.
And you're still struggling?
I am. I mean, obviously, it does help a little bit.
I think it's probably fair to say that some people lose weight quicker than others. I mean, I'm not a doctor, but I know myself that, you know, I might lose weight a little bit quicker than some of my friends that really struggle and have to cut a lot more out of their diet or do a lot more exercise or whatever it is. And so maybe for somebody like yourself, that the weight doesn't fall off them quite as quickly. Maybe like Bobby said, you know, we have advances in technology and take advantage of them. Is there a plan to come off it, Ellen? Because it sounds like you don't want those side effects long term.
To be honest with you, I've not been doing my prescription because I'd rather stick with what I'm doing with Slimming World because that's helping me a lot better. And obviously with Slimming World, I don't have any side effects.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's much better.
Ellen, best of luck with doing it the natural way. And I suppose let us know how you get going. Thank you for your call. Dominic from North Lancashire, what's your thoughts when it comes to the weight loss jab? At Lanarkshire, is it just for lazy people?
I don't think it's for lazy people. I put on a lot of weight after the second lockdown, and it's quite hard to lose weight. It's really hard, and I've experienced like a lot of bullying as well because I feel like for someone that's thin and suddenly put on a lot of weight, would maybe get more bullying than necessarily someone that's always been like larger. And
so
I just
this
feel
is
like
people that have seen you slim and then seen you with more weight.
Yeah, you get treated a lot differently, and it's really hard to lose weight as well. So I think like I've been thinking about these weight loss jabs. I've not spoke to anyone about getting these jabs, but
so you thought you'd come on national TV and speak to me about it, Dominic. I like your theory behind that. I think your idea that people that put on weight, you know, people that were naturally slim and then put on weight, get a much harder time. You might be right, Dominic. That's really sad to hear that that's happening to you. Have you had a chat with someone and said, you know, I don't like you talking about me like that?
Well, I get a lot of trolls on social media. People making fake accounts and just, you know.
Oh, Dominic, that is absolutely rubbish. I just say block, block, block. Any negativity on 100%. Social media, block. Nobody's got time for that. So you're considering using the weight loss jab. What about just losing it?
I'm considering.
What about just losing it?
Like the doctor. Yeah.
Naturally, diet, exercise.
Well, it's easier said than done.
Yeah, I mean, most things are. But, you know, if you put in the effort that way, you wouldn't get the side effects of the weight loss jabs, or if there is any for you.
Yeah, I think that's something that's a worry as well.
Right, Dominic. Well, best of luck, whatever you choose. I wish you all the best. Thank you for your call. Margaret from Hertfordshire, what's your view when it comes to... Margot from Hertfordshire, what's your view when it comes to the weight loss jab?
Well, definitely exercise. There's no doubt about it. And just be careful with what you eat. Lots of vegetables. Have lovely meals, but smaller quantities.
Have you suffered with your weight, Margot?
No, I've never suffered with my weight, but I'm very small. I'm only 5 feet and half an inch. Because of that, I've always been aware that if I did get fat, I'd look like a dumpling. So
okay, that's your opinion. But Margot, do you appreciate it's quite hard to criticise people? Not that you're criticising, it's quite hard to give advice to people to lose weight if you yourself have never actually struggled with yours.
Well, actually, I do disagree because when I was working, I had a big birthday and my desk suddenly became surrounded by people asking me, my God, are you really? You know, and what's your secret? So I just said, well, exercise, push-ups, morning, noon, night, walking, swimming. And I encouraged so many people to do the same thing because they asked me when they saw that I was older than they thought. You know, they just asked the question. And so I've worked with these people only because I'm their friend. So it's not, nobody has to be critical of anybody else, but if you get the opportunity, if somebody says to you something like, oh God, you know, I'm sick of being overweight, just quietly sort of say, well, you know something, have you tried maybe instead of watching Coronation Street for half an hour, get up, go for a walk for half an hour.
Margot, you sound like a really, really lovely lady. I do think there might be a lot of people at home watching this that are overweight thinking, I know I have to get up, I know I have to eat better, but there are a lot of things that might be in their way. There might be a disability, there could be mental health issues, there can be lots of things that make it incredibly difficult for people to do very easy tasks, as you are suggesting, just exercise more, eat a little less and eat a little healthier, but sometimes it's it's easier said than done, as our last caller suggested. But thank you for calling in with those suggestions, Margot. Jamie from Wiltshire, have you ever tried the fat jab?
Yeah, I'm on it now.
Ah, okay. Did you ever try eating less and moving more?
All my life.
It's not that easy.
And everyone thinks it is. It hasn't got a weight problem because I've tried everything from only eating protein, not eating carbs, eating less, exercising more, etc., etc., etc. And genetically, I put on weight, and I love food. So it's a constant battle.
And so when did you start the weight loss jab? What's been the impact? Has there been any symptoms? I know Lynn's dying to ask.
I started on Manjaro on New Year's Day, basically, and I've been on it since then. I started with the lighter jab and then I've built up gradually. I've lost 14 kilos. I was 114 kilos and I am now 99 kilos. And I've done it in that period of time.
Okay. That's a huge amount of weight. You're feeling better for it?
100% better, yeah.
And is this a long-term thing? Is there a plan to come off it?
I can see no reason to come off it. I can see why I would reduce the jab down to a lower dose. But
Jamie, are you getting this privately?
I am, yes.
Have you spoken to me before about this?
Never.
Oh, you haven't? All right, I thought I recognised your voice for a minute there. I was like, we have spoken about this. So, you're not getting it privately?
No, I am getting it privately.
Well, then expense is a reason to come off it for one.
Well, that's not a reason why I would come off it, but it might be why someone else might.
What about symptoms? Have you had any of them?
No, none at all. If you overeat, you will feel bloated, like one of your callers said earlier. But that's what happens if you sit down and eat too much Sunday lunch. Just don't eat as much. What this does is not a silver bullet that will just sort of immediately sort of make you lose weight just because you stick a jab in yourself once a week. And by the way, the person that said that it's painful, I can promise you it's absolutely not painful in the slightest.
Well, it might be a different jab, Jamie, and also people react to things differently. But for you, great to hear you're not having any symptoms at all and plan to be on it long term. Thank you very much for your call. I'd be interested to find out, when people do come off it, if they decide to come off it, how much weight they put back on, or whether it does psychologically change your perception of food and your habits. In today's paper as well, it's been reported that actually the weight loss drug can cut cancer risks by a fifth. Well, is it fair? Is it worth giving laziness a go if that's the case? I mean, that's impressive. Not only do you not have to work as hard to lose weight, but also you might be staving off your chances of a really serious illness.
I did agree. I'm not anti it at all. I've got a friend that's on it and she's seen some success from it as well. And we have an obesity crisis. Like yearly, we're spending almost 7 billion a year on diseases related to obesity. And if this is assisting that and cutting costs, then yeah, it's a good thing. But as I said previously, like this gentleman and like many other people, they're going down the private route, and oftentimes many don't need to do it, and then they may rely on it for the rest of their life. And to medicate yourself for the rest of your life when you can go down a natural route, I think people should attempt to the natural route first.
Well, I think there are some versions of the weight loss jab which you have to come off. You can only be on it for 2 years, so it is just a shorter term thing. But there is that space for abuse, Bobby, and does that give you any sort of consideration? Or actually, when you're looking at the news that it could cut cancer, well, even if you've only got a couple of pounds to lose for an event, then maybe it's worth it.
Again, the way to think about it is like a set of scales, calories. You've got intake on one side and how much you sort of burn or sort of use up. And ultimately, if you intake more than you burn, your weight will go up. Whereas if you burn more than you intake, your weight will go down. And it's the intake part, it seems like the drugs seem to impact because it makes people feel fuller for longer. So they can use it as a way to kickstart them, I always think, into like better habits. But if it's seen as a long-term addiction, then it's like, I think it's dangerous.
Well, it's interesting you used the word addiction. That's the first time that came up. And right at the end, so we can't discuss it. Thank you for all your calls, so we are going to have to move on.